there, I'm Laura from 5 out of 4 Patterns, and welcome to part 1 of the Lucy top, tunic, and dress sew-along. Today we are going to print, we are going to assemble, we're going to cut out the pattern, and we're going to cut out our fabric. So let's jump right in. So here we are, ready to assemble our pattern. I have printed all the pages. You may not need all the pages based on what your needs are, but just so you can get a sense of how I put this together. If you're new to PDF patterns or new to 5 out of 4, you get to see how I do it. So if you're new to 5 out of 4, this is your first 5 out of 4 pattern. I just want to show you quickly what you're going to see. So you see we've got a line down, a gray line down the side, the right side, and a gray line down across the bottom of each page. You also have these diamonds. So what you do is you need to line up the edge of the paper with no line up to the line on the other sheet. See if I can even talk and make that make sense. Now you don't want to go over the line, so where you can't see the gray line, it's just right up to the line. So you're matching the bottom line, you're matching the right side line, and you're completing the diamond. Okay, and so what that should do is that should line up all your other lines as well. Now, sometimes printers want to print funky and they pull the pages unevenly. Unless there's a huge discrepancy and you're like a ½ an inch off or whatever, or things just don't look right at all, don't worry about it. Your printer isn't perfect. So you can even see here, they're not perfectly lined up, but my diamond is. That's okay, we'll make it work. So I am very close to finishing up here, and as you can see, I taped every single page together, so it's huge. So with it being 53 pages, it's a pretty big pattern to tape together. Now you can tape it together in sections and cut as you go. That's totally up to you. I just thought I would show you how it all goes together. All right. Woo! So here we are. Let's pull this all the way. Let me grab another piece of tape here. Just make sure nothing's going to fall apart as I'm moving it around. Okay. Move this out of the way. All right, let's come up all the way to the top, like page 1. Carefully scoot away here. Here we are. Now I will likely have to maneuver myself around my table quite a bit because this is big. Now, one of the things you have to pay close attention to is like the options that you're choosing. Let me put my tape right here so this doesn't slide off. So sometimes you're going to do sleeveless, or you're going to do the cap sleeve, or you're going to do the scoop instead of the jewel neck, or you're going to do one of the different lengths, or you're going to need an FBA or not an FBA. So and if you don't know, an FBA is a full bust adjustment, and we have that built into the pattern. It's part of the reason why it's so many pages, so you can actually just print the pages that you need. So if you don't need the FBA pieces, you don't have to print those pages. So all that information is in the tutorial as far as a print guide. That's what it's called. It's called the printing guide. So you'll just print what you need, so that all you have to do is cut what you need, so you're not wasting. Now, for me personally, in this particular project, I'm making this for my daughter who needs a full bust adjustment. So I have her size printed out, which you can print out all the sizes, or you can print out just the size or sizes that you need. I suggest using those layers to your advantage. It's really hard to see all your size when they're all on the page, but I printed a size small, and I'm going to be cutting the full bust adjustment pieces. So you'll have to make sure that you're reading these descriptions here. So it says the name of the pattern, and then it says it's the front side and it's a regular bodice. So I'm not going to be cutting that out. I'm going to be cutting out the FBA, which I know, just because I've made it before, is over here. So just pay close attention. If you are, let me move this over so you can see a little bit. If you are doing the sleeveless version, you will see here and here on both of these pieces. This is the side piece. This is the front and center piece, okay? So you have two cut lines here for the sleeve. You can see that here. And it tells you exactly what they're for. Cut on the inside line for the sleeveless option and the outside line for sleeves. Now, if you're doing the sleeveless, you're going to cut on this line and you're going to cut on this line. If you're putting sleeves on, which I am, I'm going to cut on the outer line. All right, so as I go through, I'm going to pay close attention to what options I need to cut. For this particular one, I'm going to do the jewel neck, which is the shorter neckline. So you have a scoop neck and jewel, so I'm going to cut it at the jewel neck and then on the outside line for the sleeve. And then I'm also doing the top. So there's a top length, tunic length, mini length, and knee length. I'm making her a top, so I'll cut it, follow the lines, and cut it at the top length. All right, what else? Oh, for the sleeves, you've got lots of options for sleeves. You've got cap. Just make sure I'm saying everything right. You have cap, you have short, you have elbow, you have 3/4 length, and you have long. Because I want this to be kind of a transition piece for her, since it's mid-August right now, I want her to be able to wear it for a little while. I'm going to do the elbow length. So it's still not going to be hot, but it's not going to be cold either. At least that's what I hope. All right, so let's get to cutting. You can see it right in here. I'm cutting the lace up ties. You do not have to lace this pattern up. You can if you want. I love that option. I think it's just so cute, and it will look awesome on my 14-year-old. So that's what I'm doing. So you don't want to miss these pieces. So pay close attention to things as you're taping your pattern together, because you don't want to miss these little pieces and come back later and be like, wait a minute, why don't I have that? And for many of these pieces, there are measurements in the tutorial. That way, in case you don't want to use the pattern pieces, or you lose the pattern pieces like I often do, you have that option. All right. Since I'm right here with the sleeve, at the bottom of the sleeve, if you're doing the sleeveless, you're going to cut out this armband. I'm not doing the sleeveless, so I'm not going to cut that out. But I'm gonna scoot over here because I know that I'm looking for the FBA pieces. I'm not looking for the regular bodice pieces. If you don't need an FBA, you're gonna cut out these regular bodice pieces. You've got the side piece and you've got the center front. But here, I'm over here with the FBA bodice, and I've noticed that I missed taping a couple of spots, so I need to fix that. Remembering that I'm cutting a top. I'm not cutting a dress or a tunic, so I'm going to be cutting at the top length. If you're doing tunic, you're going to go down here and so on. I'm also cutting a jewel neck, which is a neckline that comes up closer to the neck. And remember, because I'm putting sleeves on it, I'm going to cut on the outer line. To do my front side bodice piece. Now, if you're concerned with with whether or not you need the FBA bodice, there are instructions in the measurements area of the tutorial to help you to decide. You could also ask either here in this group or on the YouTube video, or you can ask in our main Facebook group, which I will link. Now I need to scoot this down and find my back bodice pieces, which are right here. Now I'm going to go all the way to the bottom here because I'm going to skip the back bodice piece for just a second. And yeah, I know that my pattern looks pretty rough from being moved all around, but we'll fix that. At the very, very bottom, pages 51, 52, and 53 are your neckband pieces. Now, like I said, you can find a lot of these rectangle measurements in the tutorial if you don't want to use these. Otherwise, make sure you check the tutorial to see if they're there, because sometimes we do things a little bit differently, but these are your neckbands. Now, they both say what they are. This is for the jewel neckband. This is the scoop. I'm doing the jewel, so I'm cutting the shorter one. And remembering the same things that we needed to remember for the front bodice, we're cutting the outer line for sleeves, the inner line for sleeveless. All right, I think that's everything. Okay, so the next thing, let me pull out all of my pattern pieces here so we can take a good look. Now, if you're new to full bust adjustment pieces, you'll notice that there is only one set of back pieces because that does not get the adjustment. It's just the front pieces that get the adjustment. So right here, we've got our full bust bodice front, and then we've got our back bodice here. We've got our neckband piece. We've got our sleeve, and we've got our lacing pieces, our tie and our loop pieces. And if you're doing sleeveless, you won't have a sleeve, you'll have the sleeve band. So we are ready to go. One of the things that you need to do before you start getting excited and cutting out your fabric is you need to take a look at the finished measurements in the tutorial to decide what kind of adjustments you need to make. So you'll have that. Now, you need to make sure that you're making a muslin. What is a muslin? A muslin is a sample. So you're going to make one that's, if you have to get rid of it, hopefully it's a usable muslin, but if it's not, you're not using your fancy fabric. Don't use like your custom expensive fabric on your first of anything. Any pattern you make for the first time needs to have a muslin, a sample. This helps you to get the right fit, because there are more things to fit than just lengthening and shortening. So you want to make sure that your sleeves are going to fit properly. So for me, I always measure, when I'm making it for myself, I measure the pattern piece and then I measure my body and decide whether or not I need a full bicep adjustment, and I always do, but I need to know how much of an adjustment I need. What exactly do I need to do? Now, and once you make your muslin, you're going to find that you may have other adjustments that you need to make. Not just full bicep, not just length. Maybe you have underarm issues or neckline issues. That's why the muslin or the sample is important. It gives you the opportunity to fix the things that need to be fixed before you use your fancy fabric. So that's my spiel about muslins. Okay, so here we are, we've got our fabric. I'm using two different fabrics today. I've got this lovely stripe and this black coordinate. Now, my daughter, I took her to the Fab Click fabric shop website and said, pick out the fabric that you love, and she came up with this beautiful stripe. And so I paired it with some black double brush poly. They're both double brush poly. Make sure you're paying attention, if you're new, make sure you're paying attention to which way the stretch goes. This gives us the most stretch, and this gives us the least amount, but both have a good amount of stretch. So this is considered your stretch, and this is considered your grain line. So stretch goes this way, your grain line goes this way. We are finished cutting out. Hallelujah. We've got our neckband. We've got our tie pieces. We've got our coordinating front and back side pieces. We've got our sleeves. And lastly, we have our center front and center back pieces. We are ready to get moving, ready to sew. I will see you tomorrow for part 2 of our Lucy Sew Along.